Hey there, this is Matt with State of Flux, continuing my look back at the works of Tolkien. This time we're talking about The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. Now this is a fascinating film because there's two cuts of this movie, and if you'll watch my review of The Hobbit and Unexpected Journey, you will note that I say it's the best of the Hobbit movies. And I particularly like the extended cut of the film. But I also hinted at the fact that I won't necessarily hold true to that statement for the future installments. And here is really the defining moment for that. I'll have more to say on the third one when we get there. But I think that the theatrical cut of The Desolation of Smaug is good. I think it might be the most exciting cut and the most entertaining cut of any of the Hobbit movies. I think that the extended edition of The Desolation of Smaug is the worst cut and the worst entry in any of the Hobbit movies. And the film ultimately is something that suffers from bloat and excess. Much like that first movie, I maintain that if you lift 1 minute out of every single scene goes on about 1 minute too long. If you lift 1 minute out of every single scene, you'll have a more concise, tighter, and cohesive, stronger film. And the proof of this is in the pudding if you watch the theatrical and the extended cut. The stuff that happens in the woods, Mirkwood? In the extended cut is an exact representation as experienced in the book. They show you everything. Everything that's written. The fact that they're lost, going in circles for days in a almost drug-induced haze brought forth by the fumes of the woods or whatever. All of that is left intact in the extended cut, and it is insufferable to get through, and that's because films that are adapting a book need to do that adaptation. Stripping a lot of that away, because it is genuinely unnecessary for the story at hand, for the story you're ultimately trying to tell, in the theatrical cut, all of that stuff is gone, the movie moves smoother, and you've lost nothing. None of that stuff informs anything. It's just something that the characters go through, but it doesn't do or change or inspire anything. The only thing that is important through all that is that it gives Bilbo a reason to go and breathe free, fresh air from the trees. And that scene maybe hits a fraction harder in the extended cut, but it's completely unnecessary. You get the same emotional value in the theatrical cut. But more than that, this film has a lot of scenes that are, in the extended cut, just direct representations of the book. And it's endless, especially the first act of this film. How Beorn meets all the dwarves didn't need to be there. The theatrical cut's the way to go. It adds nothing outside of showing that grumpy man that we already know and can see is grumpy, doesn't like dwarves, but we'll invite him into the house. You didn't need to see it. You get it from context clues, from performance, from the way the story is unfolding, that you didn't need to see it. It adds no value. And this is why looking at an adaptation is important. Lord of the Rings is one of the best adapted versions of a book, I think. I think in a lot of ways it takes great ideas, capitalizes them, and oftentimes for me makes them better. And here, this is just a direct translation of what's in the book on page, put to screen, and something is lost in adaptation. I enjoy reading the sequences within the woods in the book. In the book, it works for me. It's a continued element, but there's flavor to the writing that makes it an okay or palatable experience when you're reading the book. but for the film it's unnecessary. And I think there's a lot of that in this film. This film, both cuts of it, open with a scene that is completely pointless, that offers no context to or character enrichment in any way to this film's central character, who is Thorin Oakenshield. That's right, Bilbo Baggins takes a back seat in his own franchise for this other character to take center stage. And that would be fine if they did anything with it, but Thorin taking center stage in this film offers us really nothing, because he doesn't grow or change throughout the entirety of the film. He's a relatively stagnant character. We're spending a lot of time with him for no real justifiable reason. And it's because Bilbo in the second act of The Hobbit doesn't have a lot to do. And we've already got his big character development moment at the end of the first Hobbit film. So he just is kind of there until they need him to talk to the dragon. All the stuff with the dragon is great, but there's a lot of stuff along the way that just doesn't need to be there. Gandalf on his little side quest to meet the necromancer is kind of neat, but it doesn't really add a ton. And the extended cut of that where he meets Thorin's dad, who's still alive and then is blithely killed off, is completely pointless extension of material for no weight or value to the story. And so I'm sounding really negative on this, and ultimately I don't know that I am. I think the theatrical cut I would recommend. I think it's good. I think it's a step down in quality, certainly from the extended cut of the first movie, but even from the theatrical cut. It's a more exciting but lesser film because it loses its title character. The extended edition, I think I've made my point, is not very good. But let's sing the highlights, because I do think there are plenty of highlights in this film. The two strongest of which are the character of Bard and everything that is it Luke Evans brings to that performance is so good. He is fantastic in the movie. And this is an example of taking a basically nothing character from the book and actually doing the work to make an interesting and impressive character. And it's probably not lost on me that this is something that they chose to do when they were just making two movies. You make a really interesting and compelling character and give him something to do. And he really takes ownership of this film. And the other big benefit this film has is the introduction of the character of Smaug. He's been hinted at in the first film several times. Here we actually get to see him in his full glory, and I think they developed the greatest film dragon ever put to celluloid. He is extraordinary. In that he has a rich character. He's performed excellently by Benedict Cumberbatch. And he seems like a visceral, vile threat. But even here, you have, the battle with the dwarves and the dragon goes on too long. Did we need him to be turned into the giant gold statue which melts and he breaks out of? No. That being said, this film has one of the best endings I've ever seen. Like the cliffhanger, oh my god, what have we done? That whole thing is just fantastic as it's going and flapping and flying towards the lake town. Great. The King of Lake Town is also kind of I don't see the need of that character. I guess you kind of need something like that, and he adds a little bit of texture to the film, but ultimately I didn't really like any of that stuff. The Lake Town stuff works when it's focusing on Bard, fails to work when it's focusing on the king and his ward. That being said, there's a lot of action set pieces that are really quite cool. I like the introduction of Tauriel, who's a great elf character, and I really was interested in that. I like the love story that develops between her and Keeley, even though that was something that apparently was agreed upon would never be introduced into this in order to get Kate from Lost to play her, Evangeline Lilly, to play that character. And it's really disappointing. However, it is one of the strongest elements of the film, their relationship. Legolas is pointless and doesn't really add a lot of value, but it was kind of neat seeing him there on a, like, oh, I remember him kind of value. The score is really quite good. There's some beautiful romantic score between the elf and the dwarf, and I really love the theme of Lake Town is great. So yeah, ultimately I'm mixed on the Desolation of Smaug. I give the soft recommendation to the theatrical cut, and I give a firm do not see to the extended cut. We will see where I land with the Battle of the Five Armies. I've seen each cut of that film one time, and I virtually don't remember anything about that film, which might be kind of telling. But I'm excited to take a look at that, and you have that to look forward to sometime in the coming weeks. What did you think of the Desolation of Smaug? Are you as hard on the director's cut as I am? Because I do think this is the worst extended cut. And what did you think of the theatrical cut? I saw this movie about 2 or 3 times in the theater, once in Chile, in fact, which was really kind of fun. Let me know what you thought of this film in the commentary down below. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Peace.